Hello everyone, and welcome back to more AEW on TEW2020. We're getting to the end of the first month after Revolution, and we start off with Dark and BTE. You have your Jackson's intro, you have your Dark Order stuff going on. And then our first real thing, we have Garza, who's seen flirting with just an unnamed worker, you know, someone who's probably just kind of like, you know, they just like help out set things up at Daly's place. And, you know, Garza's flirting with her, and then Mayu and Kairi walk past him. He just immediately, once he sees them walk past, he just stops what he's doing, and he starts kind of like, he's like backpedaling. He's still talking to them, he's flirting with them, you know, doing his sleazy hot guy shtick. And Mayu and Kairi, they just kind of brush him off, and eventually they just kind of get tired. They speak to each other a little bit in Japanese, and then Kairi just has a very unconvincing, very obvious lie. It's just saying, I don't speak English. No. The joke is that she does speak English. Thank you, I'm funny. And Garza, he still has somehow not managed to win anyone past the formation of the Rose Garden. After this, Matt Murphy, who we haven't seen in a while, is approaching Matt Sydal, and he's, you know, asking Sydal if he can get some help with being calmer, and maybe, you know, kind of having that ring awareness, you know, that better peace of mind would help him against bad influence. So that's still a fear that's going on. But Murphy, he's approached by Lance Archer, just kind of picks him up and he choke slams him into a garbage can, and Matt Sydal is just like, what the hell, Lance? Like, we were trying to work on the anger management. You just walked up to this guy and choke slammed him. But yeah, real short BTE, so not too much going on as we start off dark with Trey getting a surprise win over Chris Bay with a Yoshitonic to move on to the semi-finals, I believe it is, of the youth tournament. After this, Sean Spears defeats Derek Loewsley. Just real quick squash match, still trying to build up Sean Spears' momentum, because he has enough pop to be someone who's recognizable, but he's just so bad on momentum. So just give him the worst person I have ever seen in wrestling in this game. Literally no stats to him whatsoever. It's amazing how bad Derek Loewsley is, but I mean, a 12 rating, it's not great, but Sean Spears carrying it with a 41, you know, carrying it to a 16, but still. After this, Britt Baker is hosting an episode of The Waiting Room, and she introduces her guest, a debuting Gail Kim. Kim enters the waiting room. She says that she was brought in primarily as a consultant for the women's division, and she's also somewhat in as an employee. She's not an executive like I wrote down there. She's, you know, just helping out. She's interrupted by Killer Kelly walking in, and she grabs Cynthia Regal's mic, and Britt Baker's like, hey, the last time we had the waiting room, you were here anyways, and you did the same sort of thing. But Kelly just kind of ignores this, and she stares down Gail Kim. Killer Kelly says that she's been held down by booking, that she's, you know, she's in the stable with the current TNT champion, and because of that, she deserves better booking. She concludes that the best way to get more booking is to beat a veteran, and a well-respected veteran at that, of the business, in Gail Kim. She then chucks the mic at Cynthia Regal, and she lunges over, she starts beating down Gail Kim, maybe gets in like an armbar or something. And then Gail Kim eventually does manage to break free. Members of staff come in, and they drag Killer Kelly off. Poor gimmick, unfortunately, but oh well. So that's starting a feud there. It'll just be one on Dark, so we'll see how things go with that. After this, Mao defeats Kota Brazil with a 450 splash, again part of the youth tournament. Then we have Bandito defeating Joey Janela. And then David Fudra and Dallas Mantello are beaten by the Hit Squad after Des Xavier picks up the win. Ricky Starks defeats King Cash, and they do have pretty good chemistry, which is cool, I guess. Darby Allen then defeats Eric Redbeard. The Vision then defeat TNT, of course the Dudley Twins, and starts with a 70. Big Swole then defeats the Bunny in a real quick match. And afterwards, she picks up, she asks for a mic, and she does get that mic. And she asks for Riho to come out, and, Riho does. She says, Riho, you're the person who, out of this entire company, has fallen off the most. You were the first women's champ here, now you're only getting booked on Dark, while people like Abaddon and Maki Ito get time ahead of you. Look, I'm sure they're fine as people, but we deserve more booking. So how about next week we team up, we see how things go out there in the ring. Maybe we can get back on Dynamite, or at least we can get you back onto Dynamite. And Riho nods, shakes Big Swole's hand. I was really off on my writing for this. And they kind of just come together for this pseudo-alliance. It's not really too much, just a real quick, they want to get on, Dynamite because they haven't in a while. So, hopefully that'll work. And our main event of Dark, Miro defeats Angelico with a Bullplex. Dynamite begins with our final thing for D&D, just again, because I kind of lost the muse for it. Basically, just kind of King Silver tells them, hey, here's some demons, go beat them up. So, they're guarding the gate back to the real world. And that is both the Tate brothers, it's whatever. They've been booked as demons for this. Obviously, Orange Cassidy, Matt Hardy, they win. They get out of there. And they'll be back into actual booking in the near future. Dynamite itself starts off with a tag team tournament match. When the Butcher and the Blade beat Bad Influence. When the Butcher pins Christopher Daniels after Eddie Kingston ran in and attacked him. Of course, Butcher and the Blade, they are working with Eddie Kingston. And, he has some stakes in this. And afterwards, because of this being the next match on the tournament, the Lucha Brothers, they come down, and they, they're kind of, you have this entire group of the Blood Brothers, they're looking at each other, of course, except for Fatu. They're all looking at each other, and they shake hands, they're cordial with each other, even though they are, they're going to be against each other in the next tournament match. They are still, part of the same stable. They're still a good, they're still working together. They're still allies. And they're going to have it be a nice, friendly bout that whoever wins, it'll be fine. After this, we have Darby Allen doing his usual kind of his shtick of jumping off of things. He's narrating over into this Jeff Hardy, Brother Nero, Willow, Itchweed, whatever you want to call yourself. You're someone who I've seen myself compared to a lot, and I suppose it's for good reason. We've already fought with each other at Revolution, so I think it's time that we fight against each other, Jeff. I know you want this. You said it yourself. You want to see if I'm worthy of being compared to you. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. I've been overlooked, I've been told that I'm not good enough, that I'm just someone who knows how to endanger himself and others. But I'm going to prove that I'm more than that. Jeff Hardy, I want to face you at Spring Stampede in a cage match. It's your call, Nero. So, kind of going with the... It's been a little bit since I've done the proper, the AEW special Dynamites that they usually do. Last one was the New Year's. I'm gonna try to not overdo them like actual AEW seems to do at times. Like, there's a lot of times there's like... I remember there being a few weeks ago where it was just like every single week was a special Dynamite. And I'm gonna try to not to do that as much, but again, still hopefully do a little bit better. Again, my promo writing hasn't, gotten back up to speed, but oh well. Spring Stampede, that'll be happening on the 2nd week of April. We'll have our TNT title match with the winner of the the youth tournament. Which means we will have both the semifinals and the finals in next Dark. There also will be the other matches, so, Kona versus Ashley Flair, MJF versus Jungle Boy. We'll see some more matches going through there. And we'll get some more booked as the show and next show go on. After this, Jordynne Grace defeats Priscilla Kelly. It's a pretty quick match. In order to set up this, where Jordynne Grace, she's celebrating in the ring, and she's happy about her victory. Then Anna Jay and Ty Conti of the Dark Order they enter the ring, and they get behind Grace. And when Grace turns around, you know, probably just as, like, part of her celebrations, she gets attacked by Jay and Tay, and she gets, you know, beaten down to the mat. They're keeping this for a while. Eventually, Jonathan Gresham rushes in, Jay and Tay, they leave, and they're content with having beaten down Jordan Grace. So, a little bit more work on the Dark Order versus Nightmare Family feud, because Jordan Grace, part of the Nightmare Family, as an employee of Brandy Rhodes. Jonathan Gresham also brought in Jay and Tay, obviously Dark Order. Mentioned that before, but still working on a storyline, trying to get some more people involved, trying to get some more, mainly more female wrestlers booked up, because we're really top-heavy with that. You know, you have Flair, you have Kana, you have Shida, Mayu's up there. It's a lot of... We have, like, our top 5 people, but there's a lot of room for improvement on the undercard for the women's division. I'm going to try to work that up a little bit. Try to have... we have the feud, you know, Riho, Big Swole, they're on Dark. Trying to get some more feuds going on Dynamite, even. Jay and Tay, they have a reason to be on Dynamite. Jordan Grace, she had that really long winning streak, only lost to Ashley Flair. So... You know, that's still her only loss, and that is still a very nice, you know, if there's anyone to lose to, I think having Ashley Flair be your first loss is still pretty good. Jordan Grace still working up, eventually hoping to challenge for the title, I would assume, but, you know, again, we still have a lot of people that we do need to build up, so, yeah, hopefully, work on that, work on building up some people on Dark, building up some people on Dynamite, good stuff there. After this, we have Alex Marvez backstage with Miro, asking about everything that happened with Lance Archer and Matt Sydal. Usually we have Renee being on the interviewing, but, well, if we remember all the way back to Full Gear, the build-up to that was Miro versus Moxley for the world title, and Miro may or may not have powerbombed Renee, well, in kayfabe powerbombed Renee. Didn't actually see it happen, so it's whatever. Anyways, so Marvez asking, you know, alright, what was all of that stuff with Lance Archer and Matt Sydal in the last week? Miro says, you know, he almost avoids the question to start. And he says, I can't really say that I've done good things in this company. I mean, there's a reason I'm talking to you, Marvez, and not Renee. But I need to prove that I'm more than a brute, that I'm more than just some monster, that... I mean, right now, I don't deserve the respect of the people. I don't deserve respect from anyone around here. I'm going to work to earn at least some respect. And then kind of, he probably, like, takes the mic from Marvez, because, you know, he is technically a face, but he's definitely more of a heel-leaning face. He's working on being a face. In-game, he's marked as a face right now, but, again, booking-wise, we are still in that gray area between face and heel. And he's working more towards that face side. So, grabs the mic and says, John, I know you don't like me, and you shouldn't. I attacked your wife to try to get at you for the championship, but I'm going to work to bring myself to be someone to be respected. And that's all I want. So, you know, maybe some jabs in there about, you know, how there's usually always this foreign heel. You know, he doesn't want to be that foreign heel. He wants to, you know, still be loved by the people. He still wants to have some respect to him, because being this brutish monster, being this, you know, someone who will, you know, attack an innocent person in order to get at a title, you know, it's not exactly a good thing, and, you know, he's not going to really ask for forgiveness. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't feel like he deserves it, but he still wants to see, hey, this didn't work out for me, so I'm going to work at trying something different, and hopefully being a little bit better for the future. So, Miro, working towards being a face. That's really all I'm trying to say here. After this, one of our weaker matches on the tag team tournament, Proud and Powerful defeat the Future. Actually, that was a lot better than I thought it would be, considering the Future, they still only have like 14, 15 pop. Proud and Powerful, they've been on a little bit of a skid in terms of their momentum. I believe one of them has, I think, cold momentum, which, you know, not ideal, but still, I am trying to work back up to getting things more spread out in terms of our booking. After this, we see Kurt Angle backstage with, he has his guys. So, Layla Hirsch is also there. And says Spring Stampede. It's only 2 weeks away from now. And there's nowhere near anyone to take us on for the tag team title. That tournament is still going on, but there's really nothing to worry about. See, we've got plenty of people. So I'm announcing this right now. Since Spring Stampede will not have a legitimate contender for Daxton Cash's title, because the tournament won't be finished by then, I'm letting Zach and Charles team up to challenge for the belts at Spring Stampede. He probably says, he's already talked with Tony about this. Talked with, the other EVPs. Stephanie says, no matter who wins, title stays within FTR's hands. Whether that's the team of Dax and Cash or Zach and Charles, it won't really matter. We'll still be able to defend the titles against whoever wins the tournament at Double or Nothing in 2 months' time. So, Kurt Angle, that will definitely be, I think, a surprisingly good match. Probably says something like ZSJ and Charles Betts will get a tune-up match, work on teaming together next week's Dynamite or something like that. Probably even FTR, with Dax and Cash will be getting something with that, but still, it's Kurt Angle. He has no one else to fight, and we want to have all the titles online because it's a special Dynamite. So, ZSJ and Charles Betts against Dax and Cash. After this, Ashley Flair defeats a debuting Patricia Vibert in 32 seconds with a figure 4 leg lock. So, Flair was injured. She broke her ribs at a house show, I believe, prior to last week's episode of Dynamite. So, still want to have a little bit of action, but, not too much. Keep her relatively safe. Probably just something real simple. Just I don't know. I don't know exactly how it would work in order to get the figure 4 in 32 seconds. Especially with not really wanting to do probably all too much bumping, so probably the spear is out of the order, but whatever. Vibert, she's only 18, so she does have a pretty decent future ahead of her, but right now with that 9 performance, it's her first match, so it's fine. But after this, Flair, she gets up after the match, she looks down the ramp, and, we can see she's definitely waiting for something, and not really surprised, Kana's music eventually plays, while all 3 of the members of the Queen's Court come in and they surround Ashley Flair, make sure that Flair is safe. And even when Kana doesn't appear, because she takes a little bit of time, the group, the 3 rookie people, they're still they're not having their guard down. They're waiting for Kana to show up still. Eventually, she does come out of the, she comes down the ramp still. She's still just, looking at the potential the challenger for Spring Stampede, and she kind of just holds the title up, and she's just holding it in her hand. She walks into the ring, and we have this buffer between Flair and Kana of the 3 members of the Queen's Court, and eventually they're staring each other down for a little bit, and eventually Flair just kind of, there's no mic here, it's just stared on. She probably just says something like, get her, or something generic like that. She indicates at some point for the court to attack Kana. Kana's not really expecting this, so she does take quite a few hits, and because she is outnumbered 3-1, he managed to keep her down. Ashley Flair's walking out of the ring this whole time, but Kana, it doesn't take her all too long to kind of get back up and to start beating down the Queen's Court. Once one's down, then, it's easier numbers on her. But, all 3 of them, they're laid out, they're on the ground, and Flair has already left the ring. Right as Kana, kind of locks eyes with Flair again, her music starts playing, and the court does leave as the next segment plays. It's a real quick segment, as we just have the Young Bucks knocking on Tony Khan's door. They're trying to talk to him about something. Keep at this for a few seconds, and Brian Myers, who is one of our road agents, Kurt Hawkins, says that Tony Khan is out right now due to personal reasons. The Bucks glare at Myers, and then they both super kick him, and they walk away. Myers, again, he's just, he's a road agent. I brought him in mainly because he is the mentor of one of our other regions. So, kind of to hopefully get some things up with that. but he is also a adequate enough road agent. He can work on, you know, being one of those backstage figures. We have a lot of backstage figures, a lot of road agents that haven't debuted yet. Mick Foley's been around for a while. Yeah, we've had Mick Foley, we've had Ric Flair for a while. He was, I'd like to imagine that he was pretty big into bringing Ashley Flair in. Trying to think, we brought in the Rock and Roll Express, I think it is. Freebirds? I don't know. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. That's what it is. We brought those guys in as road agents. We have a lot of people in as road agents. We have Devon Dudley coming in soon as a road agent. And also to help mentor his kids. So that'll help. But yeah, just real quick, they just super kick him. After this, Garza Jr. defeats Lee Johnson in 10 minutes with an El Muertito. And then after the match, Garza smiles, and he's still taunting Sting the entire time as his music plays. But Garza's decision not to bring any of the Rose Garden to accompany him to ringside ends up costing him, as Andrew Everett and Griff Garrison rush into the ring, and they manage to get Garza while his back is turned. Sting enters the ring. He makes sure that Lee Johnson is fine. Then he grabs Garza and hits him with a Scorpion Death Drop. With Garza on the mat, Sting helps Johnson up, and the group leaves, so, you know, Sting, Johnson, Garrison, and Everett, they all leave, as Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford, Vipers, and Brandy Lauren all arrive to make sure that Garza's okay, because they don't want his beautiful face to be broken. After this, Moxley defeats Shima with a Death Rider, just a real quick match. That was probably after commercials. So after this, Moxley grabs Mike. He says, Eddie, you and me, we're buds, right? We fought time and time again, and you've known me longer than anyone else here. Well, I think that there's time we just sit back and let old things die. At least, that's what usually happens. See, we're not just the type to lie down and die, Eddie. We know that the only way to really settle things is by bleeding and sweating and crying and putting everything all out on the line. Because inside this ring is the only place where anything matters. Eddie, I know what you're doing. I don't want to join your group. I don't want to follow in the path of someone else. I want to charge ahead, forge my own path is where I want to go. And I've done that, and it's worked. That's why I came to AEW. I wanted to make my own story, but I'll humor you. It's a fight for the record books. It's something to get me back on top. And if I want to take down Max again, I'm going to need just to make sure that someone stops his cronies. You're on, Eddie. This is probably going to end up being a match at Spring Stampede as well. And yeah, this is just the announcers are putting over some of the matches that are already confirmed for the Spring Stampede card. So Pac against whoever wins the tournament. We have Kurt Angle's team going against each other. We have MJF versus Jungle Boy. We have Kona versus Ashley Flair. Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. Darby Allen versus Jeff Hardy in a steel cage. And I can probably make a few more matches, but like 1 or 2 matches, not too many, because this is still a Dynamite. Maybe it'll just be those 6, something like that. Yeah, something like I don't know. Main event: Kota Ibushi defeats Sami Guevara, and after the match, Jericho hits the ring and he hits Kota with his baseball bat. Santana and Ortiz soon arrive. They also beat down Kota, while Hager and Ace are at the tunnels. Once Sami recovers enough, the 4 of them bring out a table, and they all powerbomb Kota from inside the ring to the outside on the table, and that ends the show. This was a pretty weak show in terms of rating. That is rough. I think I kind of just screwed up what I was rating people on is the main thing. Like, a lot of, there's a lot of things where it said that there was not interesting things happening, so that's probably the big deal. But we'll be moving on, and we'll get to our Dark and Dynamite for next week in the next time.